You ever walk into a room and feel like someone sensed you before you even spoke? You didn't touch them. You didn't look at them. But they turned, their eyes locked onto you, as if they felt you before they saw you. That's not charisma. That's not coincidence. That is spiritual presence. And women, especially women, feel it first. Not with logic, not with words, with instinct, with depth, with the part of them that was ancient before language was born. What most men don't understand is that women don't just look at how you move. They feel what you carry in silence. And if you're empty inside, if you've spilled your fire, your edge, your drive, she won't respect you. Even if she smiles, even if she lies, she will know. She will feel the absence in you. Your seed, your semen, isn't just fluid. It's potential. It's your untapped life force. Every time you give it away to a screen, every time you surrender it to lust, you're not releasing tension. You're bleeding power. Spiritual, psychological, primal power. The path of semen retention is not about purity. It's about presence. It's about magnetism. It's about building an inner fire so strong, so sharp, so undeniable, that when you walk into a room, people pause. Not because they see you, but because they feel something rare, something dangerous, something alive. Women are not drawn to men who beg for them. They are drawn to men who are possessed by their own mission. Because a man on fire, a man who has tamed his flesh, a man who owns his shadow and refuses to bow to addiction, that man becomes a beacon, and women sense it. Like wolves sense the scent of blood. They feel your discipline. They taste your energy. They know when you are a king in the making, or a peasant pretending. But this path is not for the weak. It is dark, it is lonely. It demands sacrifice. You will confront your demons in the quiet nights. You will face the urges that broke billions of men, and you will either fall or rise into something beyond the boy who chases, into a man who creates. You want to know why your energy is invisible to her? Why she scrolls past your soul like you don't exist? Because you're giving your power away every damn day to nothing, to pixels, to validation, to weakness. The moment you stop, the moment you reclaim your seed and channel it into your mind, your body, your craft, you awaken something ancient, a frequency few men ever reach. And when you hit that frequency, she feels it. She doesn't know why. She can't explain it. But her soul leans in. Her body listens. Because now you don't just want her. You don't need her. You are bigger than her. You are bigger than desire. You've become a man in control of his own universe, and that is spiritual seduction at its highest form. There's a lie that's been fed to men since boyhood. That looks are everything. That if you're tall, chiseled, and handsome, women will fall for you. That the man with the sharp jawline and designer clothes will always win. That beauty is the weapon, and you're either born with it or you're invisible. But what if I told you that physical appearance is nothing but the outermost layer of the game? A distraction, a mask, a paper crown on a hollow head? You ever seen a man with no fashion, no physique, no Instagram glow-up? Yet women orbit him like he's carrying gravity in his chest. You ever watched a guy enter a room and command attention without a word, while prettier, louder men fade into static? That is not looks. That is spiritual energy, and women feel it before they see anything else. It starts with presence. Not your muscles, not your haircut, but the feeling you carry inside the silence. It's the way you breathe when no one is watching. It's the calm under your skin when the world is loud. It's the restraint in your eyes when every other man is begging to be noticed. Women are wired, not just socially, but biologically, to sense energy. Because for thousands of years, their survival depended on it. They had to feel the truth of a man, deep beneath his words. Is he stable? Is he dangerous? Can he be trusted? Or will he crumble in the face of pressure? She doesn't ask these questions out loud. She doesn't need to. Her body knows. Her nervous system listens. She can smell anxiety in your breath. She can taste desperation in your gaze. She reads your soul like ancient script. Before your lips move, you can fake confidence in words. You can fake wealth in images, but you cannot fake energy. It bleeds through your pores. It pulses in your tone. It reveals you naked. And that's why some men, without anything on the surface, still command loyalty, desire, even obsession, because they carry a frequency, a spiritual charge. They have presence. And presence is earned, not given. Now here's the uncomfortable truth. Most men have no presence because they have no center. Their minds are scattered. Their emotions are reactive. Their will is broken by impulses. And that fracture inside, women feel it. They may smile. They may talk. But deep down they are repelled, because a woman's attraction is rooted in one primal truth. She wants to surrender to a force that is stronger than her chaos. Not a man who chases her chaos. Not a man who mirrors her insecurity, but a man whose silence carries storms, whose gaze doesn't flinch, whose spirit does not bow. And to become that man, you must go deeper than surface. You must build energy from the inside out. See, looks can be bought, status can be faked, but spiritual energy is alchemical. It is forged in solitude, in restraint, in discipline. When you stop chasing dopamine, when you stop pouring your essence into validation, porn, social media, you begin to accumulate something most men never touch: density. Not of muscle, of spirit. You become still, grounded, present, unshakable. And the more still you become, the more you absorb power, not just mental, not just physical, but metaphysical, energetic. Women feel it without knowing why. Ever heard a woman say, "I don't know. There's just something about him"? That something is your spiritual gravity. It's what happens when your masculine energy is no longer leaking, but contained, refined, directed. Now here's the dark part. If your energy is broken, if you live from your wounds instead of your purpose, she will feel that too, no matter how good you look. Because energy never lies. You can wear a $1,000 suit. You can have abs carved by discipline. But if your soul is hollow, if your masculinity is reaction, not creation, she will never trust you. She may flirt. She may play. But she will never open. Never surrender. Never truly respect you. Because women don't just want a man who looks like a man. They want a man who feels like a mountain. Still, dangerous, unshakable. Not because he's pretending, but because he's mastered himself from the inside out. So how do you develop that spiritual energy? You start by closing every leak, every place where you waste your power. Porn, excessive masturbation, mindless scrolling, chasing women who drain you, arguing to prove your ego, living in fear of being alone. You seal those cracks and energy starts to build. You become heavy, not with depression but with depth. Your presence thickens. Your words slow down. You don't react, you respond. And that control, that silence inside you, that's what women feel before they even look. Your posture changes, not because you trained it, but because your spine carries purpose. Your aura shifts, not because of some esoteric trick, but because your body is no longer betraying your spirit. And here's the paradox. The less you seek women, the more they seek you. Because women are biologically drawn to completion, and the man who does not need her to feel whole is the one she feels safe to open to follow, to admire. Because now your presence is not a performance. It's not a tactic. It's truth. And truth is magnetic. Most men are trapped in the mirror. They think looking good is enough. They chase aesthetics while their spirit is starving. They build muscle while their energy bleeds. They say the right words while their vibration screams weakness. But a few, a rare few, turn inward. They cut away distraction. They choose solitude. They hold their seed. They face their demons. And through that fire they awaken a presence that speaks without sound. That man, she will feel. Even before he enters the room. Even when he's silent. Even when he's a shadow in the corner. Because his presence is not physical. It's primordial. Your semen, your seed, your life force is not just biology. It's currency. Spiritual currency. And every time you release it for nothing, every time you let it spill without creation, without purpose, without power, you don't just lose pleasure. You lose presence. You lose magnetism. A man who cannot hold his own essence is a man who cannot hold a woman. He may chase her. He may impress her. He may even touch her. But he will never possess that pull, that weight, that gravity that makes her body listen before her mind catches up. Because that gravity is built in the fire of retention. When you hold your seed, you are not just controlling lust. You are rerouting energy. reclaiming the fire that men have wasted for generations in shadows and silence. And that fire, when it's not thrown into pixels or fantasies, rises. It sharpens the eyes, deepens the voice, charges the aura. You begin to walk different, not because you're trying to be confident, but because your body is now filled with unexpressed creation. Raw, untamed, focused. It wants to be used. And when you don't release it downward, it builds upward. Every day you retain, your spiritual weight increases. You become dense, not in mass, but in presence. Your thoughts become clear. Your emotions settle. Your mission calls louder, because you're no longer hijacked by your lower nature. And women, especially women with high feminine polarity, can sense it with terrifying accuracy. They don't see retention. They feel the stored power behind your gaze. They feel the edge, the restraint, the almost unbearable self-control that says, I don't chase, I choose. And that is what drives them mad, because they are used to men spilling themselves to anything with a pulse. They are used to hunger, thirst, begging, but you walk with fire behind the eyes. Not the fire of rage, the fire of potential. Every man who holds his seed becomes a signal, a rare frequency that cuts through the noise of the weak, lustful, approval-seeking masses. And that frequency is ancient, animalistic. It says, I have something inside me that is too powerful to waste, and the feminine, by its very nature, is drawn to power. Not ego, not fake dominance, but contained, concentrated, earned power. Retention is not celibacy. It's not fear of pleasure. It is mastery over one of the most dangerous forces in existence, your sexual essence. Every empire built, every war fought, every piece of art that changed the world was forged by men who knew how to hold tension, men who could transmute desire into focus, lust into leadership, urge into execution. Most men are empty because they've never held tension long enough to become something. They're addicted to the instant high, the release, the fall. And so they stay light, forgettable, spiritually transparent. But when you retain, when you learn to stand in the storm of your own desire and not flinch, you stop being a man who needs attention, and you become a man who pulls it without effort. There is a war inside you. A quiet, daily, brutal war, not with the world, but with yourself. And it doesn't announce itself with violence. It creeps in as boredom. It whispers in your weakest hours. It waits until you're alone, until your guard drops, until the mask of discipline slips. And then it offers you a choice. Fall or rise. The path of self-mastery isn't noble. It's not aesthetic. It's dark. Because to master yourself, you must face the part of you that wants to be destroyed, the part that wants to scroll for hours to numb the void, the part that wants to jerk off because it's easier than confronting your loneliness, the part that wants to chase women, validation, comfort, because building something real takes too long and you're scared it might not work. This voice, this shadow, isn't your enemy. It's your test. It's the guardian of your next level. And every time you cave, it grows stronger. Every time you run, it laughs. But every time you look it in the eye and say, not today, you reclaim something ancient, something raw, something most men will never even glimpse. Because most men avoid this war. They sedate it. They rationalize it. They say it's natural, it's normal, it's healthy. They build temples to comfort and call it freedom. But freedom without control is chaos. And chaos disguised as masculinity is the fastest way to die with regret in your chest. Self-mastery begins when you stop negotiating with your lower self, when you stop asking for permission to be great, when you stop waiting for the motivation to come, because motivation is fleeting. But discipline, that brutal, boring, relentless discipline, is what builds gods out of animals. You will suffer on this path. Not because you're weak, but because part of you must die. The part of you that seeks ease over excellence. The part that's addicted to distraction. The part that finds safety in being small. You have to kill the part of you that's terrified of solitude. You have to watch your addictions scream and beg like demons, and not move. You have to sit with your anger, your lust, your shame, and instead of trying to escape it, you face it. You study it. You own it. This is not the polished journey of morning routines and dopamine hacks. This is the dark night of the soul, where everything you thought you were breaks, where your mind turns on you, where every impulse claws at your skin, demanding surrender. And here's the twisted truth. No one is coming to save you. No woman. No mentor, no guru. This path is carved alone, in silence, in suffering, in stillness. Self-mastery is choosing to bleed now so you don't rot later. It's saying no to the easy thing today, because you're building the kind of man who can walk into hell tomorrow and not flinch. You will lose friends. You will lose cravings. You will lose layers of yourself that you once called personality, but were actually just coping mechanisms. And what remains after that death is not a better version of you. It's a new you, one born from restraint, forged in discipline, and baptized in awareness. Because once you've faced your own darkness and didn't blink, you become something this world fears and respects in equal measure. You can say all the right words. You can memorize every line, learn every move, dress the part and perfect your performance. But if your energy doesn't match your mouth, she'll know. And worse, she'll feel nothing because the feminine doesn't fall for words. She falls for energy, not the energy of what you show, but the energy of what you are underneath your masks. Masculine polarity is not a skill you learn. It's not alpha male behavior. It's not domination, aggression, or putting on a deep voice. It is the force of stillness in a world of noise. It is the unshakable presence that refuses to bend. It is the quiet eye in the center of the chaos. Not running, not chasing, not proving, just being. And the feminine, whether she's aware of it or not, is always seeking that contrast. She lives in movement, emotion, flow, storms, and she doesn't want a man who joins her chaos. She wants one who can hold it. Most men don't get this. They try to relate to women emotionally. They try to talk their way into her heart. They overshare. They seek connection. They try to be understood, but the feminine doesn't want understanding first. She wants to feel your weight, your depth, your edge, your gravity, and gravity doesn't speak. Say it pulls. The reason your compliments fall flat. The reason she pulls away when you express how much you want her. The reason she loses interest when you open up too soon is not because you're bad. It's because your energy is light. There's no rooted masculine core behind your words. There's no polarity, no tension, no edge. You can't fake masculine energy. You can mimic it. You can wear it like a costume. But she'll feel the hollowness. And her instinct will recoil, because the feminine isn't drawn to perfection. She's drawn to presence. And presence is born in stillness, forged in tension, revealed through restraint. Masculine polarity means you don't need to convince her. You don't need to be liked. You don't need her attention to validate your existence. You are the mountain, solid, immovable, watching, not reacting, not chasing, not flinching. When a woman feels that, her body responds before her mind does. She may resist it. She may test it. She may even deny it. But her nervous system is wired for it. It seeks out the man who doesn't collapse under pressure. The man who can see her in her full emotional storm and remain undisturbed. That's not coldness. That's containment. That's structure. That's the masculine frame. And here's the secret most men miss. Polarity is not about control over her. It's about control over yourself. It's about being able to sit with your own hunger, your own desire, your own urge to please or pursue, and not move. It's about being able to hold space without filling it, to walk in silence without needing attention, to let her speak, rage, cry, tempt, withdraw, and remain untouched in your core. This is what triggers her feminine instinct, not because she's weak, but because she's wild. And the wild does not yield to loudness, it yields to power, to depth. Most men are forgettable, not because they're worthless, but because they're the same. They speak the same, walk the same, scroll the same, lust the same, carbon copies of each other, driven by the same hunger for ease, for comfort, for short-lived highs. Men who talk about purpose but live for release. Men who talk about power but collapse into craving. Men who want to lead but can't even lead themselves out of bed without dopamine dangling in front of them. This world is flooded with men who are alive but not awake, moving but not directed, speaking but not saying anything that leaves a mark. And then there are the rare ones, the man who does not chase, the man who moves in silence, the man who disappears for months, maybe years, and returns unrecognizable, sharper, calmer, stronger, more precise. Like he's carved from something ancient and untouchable. He didn't get that from books. He didn't buy it. He bled for it. He walked into war with his addictions. He stared down the mirror when it told him he was nothing. He broke the chains of approval. He shut off the voices telling him to blend in, to soften, to be safe, and he chose isolation over validation. He chose the long road over shortcuts. He chose discipline not once, but every damn day when nobody was watching, and in that fire something changed. He became a signal. Not a man who wants to be seen, but a man who is felt without trying. Not a man who asks for respect, but one whose presence demands it without a word, because when a man builds discipline, he becomes rare. And in a world where nearly everyone is driven by impulse, the man who is controlled becomes feared. Not because he's dangerous, but because he's free from the algorithm, free from lust, free from the dopamine trap that keeps most men neutered and confused, free from the need to impress or explain himself. That freedom radiates. It's not loud. It's not performative. It's felt, like an invisible field around him, thick, magnetic, untouchable. Discipline transforms your very frequency, the way you walk, the way you breathe, the way you speak only when necessary, the way you don't flinch when tested, the way you choose solitude over noise, because now your mind isn't cluttered with distractions, paired sharp, laser-focused. Your soul isn't leaking energy in every direction. It's contained. And in that containment you become dense, heavy, potent. People notice, but they can't explain it. Women look twice without knowing why. Men sense the gap and start treating you differently, because something inside them knows. You've done what they haven't. You've suffered where they ran. You've conquered the urges that still own them. And that doesn't just make you different, it makes you rare. And rarity is what the world hungers for. Not another man trying to fit in. Not another man quoting motivation while dying inside, but a man who has burned through his weakness and come out the other side, silent, sharp, and unchained.